U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, as well as the top diplomats of Israel and 4 Arab states, held a landmark conference on Monday to go over dilemmas through the Iran nuclear negotiations towards the surprise that is global of Russia's intrusion of Ukraine. The talks brought together for the time that is first Israeli soil the international ministers associated with the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Morocco, which all normalized ties with all the Jewish states in 2020, and Egypt, which made comfort with Israel in 1979. This is an opening that is late Sunday in a kibbutz deep within the Negev wilderness that was marred by way of a shooting attack in northern Israel that killed 2 cops and had been reported by the Islamic State team has hardly ever been able to stage assaults inside Israel. And early on Monday, Prime Minister Naftali Bennett's workplace confirmed he had caught COVID-19, a day after he held closed-door meetings with Blinken, followed by a press that is joined without masks. The State Department stated Blinken, who was out running within the Negev in early stages Monday, ended up being truly the only person in the U.S. delegation considered a close contact of Bennett's, and that he would follow public health guidelines including by masking and undergoing testing that is appropriate. The Negev meeting takes place while the US and European allies have expressed frustration that as peaceful Middle East nations have generally not shown strong help for efforts to straight back Ukraine after Russia's invasion while having not distanced themselves from Moscow. But Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas rebuffed any pressure to criticize Russia, rather than castigating the West for double standards that he said penalized Moscow, while ignoring Israel's crimes against the Palestinians. The current events in Europe demonstrate blatant dual standards, he told Blinken on Sunday. Despite the crimes of the occupation, that is Israeli amounted to ethnic cleansing and racial discrimination, we find nobody that is keeping Israel accountable for behaving such as a state above the law, he stated. The talks on restoring the 2015 Iran deal that is nuclear are at the top of the agenda in meetings Blinken held on Sunday with Israel's Bennett, Foreign Minister Yair Lapid and President Isaac Herzog. Speaking alongside Lapid, Blinken said the US believes restoring the agreement is the way that is better to put Iran's nuclear program back in the box following the US withdrawal from the deal under the previous President Donald Trump in 2018. The European Union's policy is foreign aid at the weekend, that an agreement with Iran to replace the so-called Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action might be reached in a matter of days. Blinken stressed that when it comes towards the many elements that are very important, we see eye to eye with Israel. We are both committed, both determined, that Iran won't ever get a nuclear weapon. Lapid said the two sides have disagreements about the deal. His restoration is in the last phases of settlement in Vienna after almost enough on and off talks here. But open in discussion, that is an honest area of the strength of our friendship, he said. At the same time, Israel will do such a thing we think is needed to stop the Iranian nuclear program. Bennett, after he met with Blinken, stated Israel had been particularly concerned that the US could meet certainly one of Iran's reported demands to get rid of its designation of the country's powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization, that is foreign. Talking in Doha on Sunday, Robert Malley, the US, that is a major negotiator of the Iran nuclear speaks, played straight down that issue, noting that in virtually any contract the IRGC would remain under heavy US economic sanctions. This season during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, Christian Easter celebrations, therefore the Jewish Passover holiday, which overlaps in Israel on Sunday, Blinken additionally discussed strategies to make certain calm tensions in Israeli-annexed East Jerusalem, which Palestinians claim as their future money, partly fueled a conflict that is 11-day made this past year utilizing the Islamist group Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip. Blinken stressed the requirement to prevent actions on all sides which could raise tensions, including Jewish settlement expansion in occupied Palestinian territories, an unusual in-person condemnation of Israeli efforts to grow the settler population that is Jewish.